Hello, my name is Brian Hathaway. I'm the Senior Director of Spas for Four Seasons Asia Pacific. Today, Mary and I were going to spend a little bit of time talking about 2009, the economic climate, how it's affected and impacted various businesses, tools and strategies that we have utilized over the past year, benefits and opportunities we've learned from them, and maybe some things that each of the spa directors could use to maybe run their businesses a little bit more efficiently and profitably moving forward. At the end of 2008, I think when we really started to recognize that the economic crisis was moving towards Asia and we were going to be impacted, many of our properties in particular started looking at opportunities. One was, how are we going to increase guest usage in the spas, value added into our packaging for accommodation? Where can we look to cut some of our costs without ever impacting guest experience? We spent a great deal of time looking at information, and not only looking at it, but how can we use it, and how can we use it to our benefit. There's so much data being collected today in the spa industry. Something we pay particularly close attention to is geographic mix. Where are the guests coming from? And if they are coming from various regions, what in particular are they looking for? It's not as easy as just putting together a spa menu anymore. People from Japan versus US, they're looking for something different. They book their accommodation and their spa treatments quite differently, and you have to be very proactive in those various markets in order for your spas to work. More in particular in resorts than urban hotels. Urban hotels have a much higher rate of single traveling guests who maybe are only staying for 1 or 2 nights, so their time is spent a little bit differently than our resort guests.
Would you also say that the city spas or the urban spas are being impacted by local spending as well? Has that been affecting your business that way? Like in some of these cities that share tourist demographics as well as local guests or club guests? Has that been significantly impacted or not so much?
Well, I use the word significantly. I mean, urban hotels, depending on their location, might have a much higher percentage of local walk-in business. Mm-hmm. It depends on the position of that spa in each market. Our property in Hong Kong, more than half of its business is local walk-in and member-driven. Hong Kong being such a busy urban hub,
right,
with people who are there for work, are there for such a short amount of time, and they're for business, for meetings and such, that they're not typically going for the spa. Although in Mumbai, we've recently opened there just in the past year, we're seeing a high volume of capture from in-house guests, and I think predominantly the reason is the guests traveling to Mumbai are actually traveling with their spouses, we've noticed, whereas Hong Kong is typically a single traveler.
Okay. So have you added new things to the menu or reduced the menu mixes as well?
Good question. We've done both. In a lot of properties, we significantly reduce the menu offerings. One, because some treatments just don't sell, and you have to go back and evaluate what works and what doesn't work. The other thing is looking at each property and what is probably going to be something that people are going to be geared more towards. Mm-hmm. You don't need longer rituals in your city hotels opposed to in your resorts. Something that we were talking about earlier is spend patterns, and something that we've spent a lot of time reviewing this year with our properties is captures, spends, average treatment prices, the same way hotels are looking at average room rates, occupancies, and RevPAR. Are more people using the spa in an economic crisis? And in my findings for our hotels, they are. But what they are doing is spending less. Average treatment prices. There's a lot more value added that's going around globally. People are looking for more for less, and it's to be expected. So add-on room nights, pay 3, stay 4, a massage included, maybe a breakfast included. So we are finding that our occupancies in the hotels are affected by the climate, but our spa captures are up, but not necessarily to the benefit of average treatment prices or spends.
So you've been managing the menu mix for both resort and urban hotels differently and adding and subtracting menu items? Have you subtracted some things that have, you think, impacted guest spend as well?
Actually, we have mentioned another good question. We made a decision here in Valley to reduce a couple of our 3-hour rituals, and for no other reason than that we thought that guests were going to be looking at something a little bit different this year, and the market that was most affected as I went back and reviewed it was Russia. We saw a significant drop in our spend per occupied villa in Russia, and when I went back and reviewed capture by treatment, it was the 3-hour rituals that we were losing on. So as a result of that, we have reintroduced it.
Really?
Into that market specifically.
Okay. So you're differentiating packages or treatment mixes by demographics, to go back to your first point.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
And we do that very proactively. We have various strategies in each market segment. We have strategies very specific to Japan. We have strategies very specific to Korea, to Russia, and to North America and European based as well.
Is this to recognize your passion for keeping statistics of all sorts, and then also utilizing those statistics so it actually makes the point and can reference why you need to do something?
Yeah, I mean, yes. Yeah, it's obviously it's passion to collect information, but through conversations and through experience. Everybody collects data. You and I talk about this
all the time.
All the time. And every month, arguably, a spa director somewhere in the world is collecting statistics, and they are emailing it or printing off a hard copy, and they are delivering it to somebody, and somebody is then taking that and doing something else with it, and so on and so forth. What I don't think we as an industry do, particularly in Asia, but we are getting better, is we don't collect and utilize data the same way. If we use the example of hotel benchmarks, the 3 that every hotel globally has used and will continue to use is average room rate, hotel occupancy, and RevPAR, or yield. The parameters by which these 3 benchmarks are collected are so clear that every hotel in the world collects it the exact same way. There is no misunderstanding of what should or should not be included. They can then use that as a guideline. With spas, we still do not. There are parameters, but they're still not being utilized consistently throughout the world.
Can you give us an example?
Sure. Let's talk about treatment room occupancy.
Let's.
Treatment room occupancy, like a hotel, is based on an inventory. Your spa is open so many hours a day. You have so many treatment rooms. Therefore, that becomes your available inventory of treatment room hours. When treatment hours being used is calculated, every hotel might have a different way of calculating it. For example, some hotels might count a husband and wife in a couple's room having a 1-hour massage as 2 hours of treatment hours used. I would ask, is the room occupied for 1 hour or for 2? And treatment room occupancies can either become inflated or diluted, depending. Now, I'm not sitting here to tell everybody how to collect it. That's not my job. My job is to kind of point out the fact that there are some misnomers in how it's